This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
The shutdown has already shaken some people.
Steve Malzberg.
The shutdown has already shaken some, slowed our GDP growth by 0.6%. It has eroded consumer and investor confidence in our economy while taking $24 billion out of our economy. My colleagues, do you think that your recklessness was worth $24 billion to our economy? This recklessness is a luxury the American people cannot afford.
All right, folks, there she is, the former Speaker of the House. Welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show, Thursday edition here on, wherever you're listening or watching the Steve Malzberg Show. And that was Nancy Pelosi on the floor of the House right before the vote last night in the House, which, went along with the Senate version of the bill to end the so-called crisis and raise the debt ceiling and open the government. These people, they know nothing except arrogance and name-calling and viciousness. And there she was before the vote, lambasting Republicans and scolding Republicans like a nanny, like a school marm. Instead of saying, I'm glad we could all reach consensus, I'm marm. Instead of saying, I'm glad we could all reach consensus, or their deeds, the president today went out and scolded. The president, after the Senate vote last night and before the House vote, took to the microphone and acknowledged that the vote hasn't been held. Took to the microphone and acknowledged that the vote hasn't been held. Actually vote. The arrogance. I mean, David Gergen on CNN, the reporters on CNN were like, whoa, what is he doing? Does anyone in the White House have a clue? This is only going to rile up Republicans. This is only going to, cause more ill will. Why doesn't he wait until the whole vote is done? Because he's in your face. Because it's all about him. Because they hate Republicans. They hate because it's all about him. Because they hate Republicans. They hate their Hispanic audience. He views Republicans, the other side, as in a Hispanic audience. He views Republicans, the other side, as in a point of view. It's his personality. Dr. Keith Abloh said it has to do with his abandonment by his father, his mother dumping him off at his grandparents' house. It all builds the person you become. And then when you're trained by Saul Alinsky and Bill Ayers, what do you expect? What do you expect? So he's already on the offensive, and this is the new mantra. In a multi-trillion-dollar economy, they're talking about $22 billion has already been, you evil Republicans, you happy with yourselves? You cost this economy $22 billion. Okay, that's a relatively small drop in a relatively big bucket. But that's what they're going to do now. It's not over, and it's designed to forge another crisis in a few months. And this is what they're going to run on. And the media, they've gone from attacking every Republican they've interviewed to now it's, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Don't you regret this? Look what you've done. It's amazing what's out there. It is amazing what's out there. And in that climate and in that light, I want to bring this back to New Jersey yesterday. Of course, Steve Lonegan lost to Democratic Mayor of Newark, Cory Booker, who may or may not live in Newark, who may or may not be gay or straight. I mean, he just won't tell us any of these things, won't tell us where he lives, wouldn't comment on his sexuality, doesn't answer questions. But all he did was attack Steve Lonegan as Ted Cruz, as a Tea Partier, as the problem with divisiveness, as if you send him, he's going to be another match to light the fire in Washington. He was outspent, 10-1, because Steve Lonegan didn't have the big Hollywood crowd. Steve Lonegan did not have the Republican establishment on his side. Who came to campaign for Steve Lonegan? Rand Paul, Sarah Palin, and a couple of others whose names escape me. Yet Steve Lonegan did pretty darn well. He lost by about 10 points, which is what most polls indicated. But he did pretty darn well, considering the election took place with the backdrop of the evil Tea Party. Lonegan, when asked who his heroes in the Senate were, named the Tea Partiers. So it shows that even in a state like New Jersey, there is hope. Chris Christie is going to win by 30 points when he runs for re-election next month. Cory Booker should have wiped the floor with Steve Lonegan. In New Jersey, that hasn't sent a Republican to the Senate in 30 years, outraising him in the money category, cakewalking through the media not talking about where do you live, the media not saying, pressing him, looking into why do you make up stories about people dying in your arms? It was mentioned, but it was never followed up upon. Why do you say that? You have this friend T-Bone, another made-up story. Answers to questions. You know what his campaign commercials were? I'm going to tackle the tough issues, like raising the minimum wage. Raising the minimum wage? Where did he get that from? So even with that, and even with the backdrop of the Tea Party, the government shutdown, and the media onslaught blaming the Tea Party and the Republicans, and Lonegan self-identifying with those people, he did pretty well. He got, last I looked, he got almost 500,000 votes in New Jersey, and about 44%, something like that. Pretty good. Pretty good. Steve Lonegan should be very, very proud of himself. But there's Pelosi. Obama did the same thing. And I want you to listen to Newt Gingrich and why yesterday or today is a sad day. And it's a sad day because of exactly one of the reasons, because of what Newt Gingrich had to say about it. Here's cut number 33.
It's a sad day because...
It's a sad day, first of all, because the president adopted a strategy of vilifying his opponents and refusing to negotiate, and he worked. He got what he wanted on his terms in a way that teaches us what he's going to do next, which is vilify his opponents and refuse to negotiate. It's a sad day because does any rational person really believe that this new super committee meeting until December 13th is going to accomplish what nobody has accomplished in the last 3 years?
No, of course not. Of course not. But that's the key. That's the key. And a fair media would acknowledge that, as I said all along, this is a president who is willing to let us go into default, to let chaos ensue. And I don't think we've seen the end. Chaos will ensue in this country in one way or another because we're coming up against these deadlines again in a few months. And Obama will not budge. Like Newt Gingrich said, we know what he's capable of. Not budging on something like taking away subsidies for congressional workers for Obamacare, on something like the medical device tax. For that, he was willing to let us rot, economically speaking. That's the kind of man he is. It's the kind of president he is, but it's the kind of man and person he is. And that's what Newt Gingrich is referring to. And that's what Republicans have to understand. And they better start plotting a strategy starting yesterday. Or you might as well throw away the Republican Party. You might as well throw away the elections and just name Barack Obama dictator, because he will demand and get whatever he wants, with the threat being chaos for the average American if you don't give him his way. That's what he's established. And when we come back, we're going to talk to a man who just wrote about that from afar, columnist for the UK Daily Telegraph and the Sunday Telegraph, historian, writer on American history. Tim Stanley joins us when we come back. 877 Newsmax, 877-639-7629 on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family.
Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already an Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today. Go to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AFT Book. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AFT Book.
It is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. Not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
I used to sleep like a baby. Now I have to get up in the middle of the night just to go to the bathroom. And not just once.
Men, if you suffer from frequent urination, the inability to empty your bladder, a hesitant urine stream, or leaking due to an aging prostate, listen to this. Renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein believes this does not need to be an inevitable part of aging. After extensive research, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Prostate Revive, the dietary supplement specifically formulated to help improve and sustain normal prostate function. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. For complete details, visit prostaterevive.com/offer. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Learn how you can try Prostate Revive for 30 days at prostaterevive.com/offer. Hurry, limited time offer. That's prostaterevive.com/offer.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
At a moment when our economic recovery demands more jobs, more momentum, we've got yet another self-inflicted crisis that set our economy back. And for what? There was no economic rationale for all of this. Over the past 4 years, our economy has been growing. Our businesses have been creating jobs. and our deficits have been cut in half.
Yeah. Obama's utopia. That was him starting the Spike the Ball campaign before the media earlier today. And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Joining us now is Tim Stanley, columnist for the UK Daily Telegraph and the Sunday Telegraph. He's a historian and a writer on American history and joins us from across the pond, as they say. Hello, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Nice to speak to you.
Well, nice to speak to you. Okay, so you wrote a piece talking about how Barack Obama has won this round, but his prize is basically a lame duck presidency.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why anyone should be crowing about this whatsoever. This was one battle that the Republicans were judged to have lost, but there have been so many that Obama has lost. He lost his battle over gun control at the beginning of the year, couldn't even get a simple measure through the Senate. He lost control of foreign policy when he tried to make that something about Congress when it came to Syria and then gave up altogether. This is one battle which, in terms of public relations, the Republicans have lost. But what has Obama won? The government is still divided, the debt is still high, and Republicans have lost. But what has Obama won? The government is still divided, the debt is still high, and Obama will.
No, but Newt Gingrich, we played a soundbite just before you came on, and he said that it was a sad day for America, and this was yesterday, because what we learned was we have a president who decided he will not negotiate, and it's his way or the highway, and he... and I said this even before Newt Gingrich said it. I said what the Republicans should have said was, hey, yeah, we're waving the white flag, but we're waving the white flag to protect America from a president who's willing to send us into an economic catastrophe over something as small as the medical device tax or delaying the individual mandate for a year, something for which there's great support not only in the nation but in the Senate. So, I mean, we've seen his true colors, and if he was willing to do it this time, he's now set a precedent. Why should he ever negotiate anything like this in the future?
I couldn't agree more. There's been no sadder sight in the last 2 weeks of Republicans and conservatives going on TV to say, we're happy to talk, but we've got no one to talk to, and then the mainstream media hammering them for not talking to anyone. There was no one to talk to because Barack Obama refused to talk to them. His exact words were, I'm prepared to negotiate, but not compromise. Well, what kind of negotiation doesn't end in compromise? A negotiation in which you expect your opponents to totally surrender, which, of course, they ended up doing. So, yeah, Obama has made it quite clear that he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want to negotiate, he doesn't want to compromise. How on earth are Republicans supposed to work with that? And yet, bizarrely, because of the mainstream media, it's the Republicans that have come out of it looking like the unreasonable ones. That's how amazing the White House spin machine is.
It is. And there were polls that keep talking about these polls. The AP poll showed Obama's approval rating at 37%. That same AP poll showed his disapproval rating with independents at 60%, which was legitimized in a subsequent poll by another organization that showed his disapproval rating with independents at 57%. So, I mean, if they wanted to be fair or give any pretense of fairness, they would have mentioned and talked about those numbers as well. In fact, the Wall Street Journal poll that they kept citing the Republicans are to blame offered 4 choices. The Republicans in Congress, Obama, both, or not sure. It didn't even offer the Democrats in Congress as a possibility. So when I'm so glad you see from afar what's going on in this country with this make-believe media we have.
Well, sometimes it's important to be seeing it from afar, because if you actually sit down and read the narrative of what happened, the Republicans suggested something to the Senate. The Senate, for, like the 4th time, said no to a budget. That kind of makes the Democrats in the Senate look like the ones who said no. And then the president says, I will not negotiate. That's what really happened. But you do not get that from the media. Because the media has stuck with this narrative of it's Obama, it's Obama, Obama. If you look at those polls, American people are saying, yeah, we blame the Republicans, we don't like the Republicans, but almost as nearly as many people are saying, and we don't like the Democrats, and we don't like Obama. There's anger at the system, there's anger at the debt, there's anger at the deadlock. It's not necessarily a rejection of conservatism. That's not what's anger at the debt, there's anger at the deadlock. It's not necessarily a rejection of conservatism. That's not what's...
You put it in these words, but I do, and I think you might agree. I think it would be foolish for the Republicans. I heard the former majority leader of the House, Tom DeLay, was on CNN today, and I couldn't agree with him more. Republicans just have to stick to their guns. Republicans have to, keep satisfying their base and not capitulating. And the people like McCain and Graham and those in the Senate that think that it's so awful, the Ted Cruzes are so awful, they don't really represent the conservative Republican base in this country anymore.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the Republicans are going to be dumb, they can renominate another Mitt Romney. Are you really saying that after a year, under a year after Mitt Romney, a boring centrist who no one trusted, who surrendered on many of the major policy points, that we should renominate another one of those guys? That what America wants is a rematch between a hardcore Democrat who knows what he believes in and a Republican who will compromise? The Republicans have tried that. They did that in 2008. They did that in 2012. Why not try actually running on their principles? It's a risk. Don't get me wrong. It is a risk. But all the moderate choices have been tried, and they have repeatedly failed. People have rejected that strategy time and time again.
Yep. Well, Tim, I appreciate your insight. Hope you'll come back, sir.
I'd love to. Nice to speak to you.
You too. It's Tim Stanley, columnist for the UK Daily Telegraph and the Sunday Telegraph. He's a historian on American history, and interesting to get his perspective from overseas. And and I'll add to what he has said, as I've added to it in the past, and also said this. Not only do you need a Republican who sticks to his values in 2016, but you need one who understands everything we just said about the media and will fight and fight and fight and fight. Otherwise, it's going to be the same outcome. Same outcome. And, why even hold the election if that's going to be the case? All right, when we come back, Alan Dershowitz joins us. He has a new book, Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law. Should be interesting on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, folks, this is going to interest anyone with diabetes or prediabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But if diabetes is a concern of yours, there's a website that you need to see, 99reverse.com. At that site, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that you probably have in your kitchen right now, and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. Now, what they say is people who have followed this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in just 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com. Find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, I think you should check out 99reverse.com.
When you were younger, you probably never considered your heart health. But cardiologist Dr. Chauncey Crandall knows from experience that taking steps to care for your heart becomes more crucial as the decades pass, if you want to keep this vital organ ticking smoothly for years to come. That's why Dr. Crandall recently developed Cardio Advanced, a nutritional supplement containing 12 special ingredients, all selected to help improve and maintain your heart health and normal cholesterol levels. The flagship of this exclusive formula, esterified plant sterols, may help lower your risk of heart disease when taken as part of a diet low in cholesterol and fat. And great news, now you have the opportunity to try a 30-day supply of Cardio Advanced. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act right now, you'll also receive a free doctor's guide to a healthy heart as a special bonus. Please visit cardioadvanced.com/radio for complete details on claiming your 30-day bottle of Cardio Advanced and free report. That's cardioadvanced.com/radio. Life is too precious to ignore your heart health. Visit cardioadvanced.com/radio now while supplies last.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now.
800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Constipation, gas, bloating. Most people suffer through. But now there's a simple solution for occasional digestive problems called Bactipro. Developed by holistic medical doctor David Brownstein, Bactipro is the fiber probiotic formula that supports healthy digestive and immune health. And it comes in the form of an easy-to-eat, tasty wafer. Bactipro contains 6 powerful strains of beneficial probiotic bacteria, dietary fiber, and bacteria-nourishing prebiotics, plus powerful antioxidants. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Bactipro. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Bactipro.com/special. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Probiotics and Your Health. Improve your digestive health now. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Bactipro.com/special. That's BACTIPRO.com/special. Bactipro.com/special.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome in now a friend to the Steve Malzberg show who has put it all in writing, as they say, with his brand new book, Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law. I hold it here in my hands, and we welcome in the one and only Harvard Law professor, Alan Dershowitz. Hey, Alan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Have you ever seen a book before that had blurbs on the back cover that called the author deranged, a war criminal, nasty, stupid, and having it start with President Jimmy Carter, I don't read Dershowitz. I'm so proud of my enemies list that I decided to put them on the back cover.
That is very unique, and kudos for that. I worked at WABC Radio for 24 years, and I thought that was some kind of record in this business. You are leaving your chair at Harvard after this semester, I believe, and you got there when you were 25, and you're leaving now, God bless you, at 75. So, wow.
50 years, 10,000 students, including some pretty prominent ones. I guess the most prominent one in the news recently has been Ted Cruz, but I also take credit for many, many, many other students. So, it's been a good ride, 50 years. This is my 30th book, my 75 years. So, in this book, what I try to do is make it very readable. I have vignettes, funny stories about my clients, about my famous cases, good John reading, one-page vignettes, and then serious discussions of how the First Amendment has changed over the last 50 years and what role I played in changing it, how the trial of murder cases, I've had 36 homicide cases, won more than 30 of them using science, how I win my cases, and, discussions of controversial things like abortion, affirmative action, gay rights, all the issues you would expect me to address, but you'll be very surprised at my answers. I'm against Roe versus Wade, for example. That's going to surprise a lot of people.
No, that absolutely, one of the things that struck me, all the names, the litany of names that people you've represented in various cases or some legal aspects, some non-legal. But what was your relationship with Bill Belichick? I found that name just shot out at me.
You can't disclose a lot of things in terms of lawyer-client, but I can only tell you that when he was being moved from the Jets to the Patriots, I played a small role in that movement and that case, and helped a little bit to bring Belichick to the Boston Patriots, where I got my money's worth last Sunday with 5 seconds to go. Brady did it again, a pass into the end zone. and it was terrific. Sunday was one of the great days in Boston sports. I was at the Red Sox game when Poppy hit the grand slam home run in the 8th inning, and then Saltamacchia brought in the winning run in the 9th. So I'm a pretty happy Boston fan.
Good for you. And I had Bobby Valentine on Monday, and he said that he, of course, that might be a name you don't like to talk about too much as a Red Sox fan, but after last year, but he said he just knew that that Big Poppy was going to hit the grand slam.
Well, he gets a bad rap. I think he was the manager during clearly a transition and a difficult year. And, you know, you do give the credit and the blame where it belongs to a combination of management, the manager, the team, the fans, and it all came together this year. It did not come together last year. And I think the fans, you know, really take it out. And Valentine's an easy guy to take it out on, but I don't think it's a fair rap.
And what do you think is going to happen the rest of the way? It's now down to a 2 out of 3.
It's very, very difficult because, you know, Detroit has better pitching generally, and, you know, Detroit is a terrific team. We've won our games. Look, Big Poppy got 1 hit. He's 1 for 15.
Yeah.
14 other times he got up, he made out, but the one time he got up and he got the hit was when it was needed. So we've been opportunistic and a little bit lucky. So if I had to bet widows and orphans money, I don't think I would bet it on the Red Sox this year, though my hopes are obviously with the Red Sox.
We're talking to Alan Dershowitz, his new bestseller, Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law. Let's stick with the sports theme for a second, and let's go to O.J. You know, I mean, I won't say you're best known for that because look at all you've done. But, you know, when you talk about Alan Dershowitz, people still say to me, oh, yeah, wasn't he on the O.J. team? So you talked to him after the glove, you know, didn't fit.
I did.
What was that like? Tell me.
Because I had my doubts. I was in the courtroom and I wondered why the glove didn't fit. Was it because he was wearing latex underneath it? And you know, I asked him to try them on without the latex, and you know, it didn't fit. That was not why we won the case. The glove. We won the case because of the sock. There was a sock, the best piece of evidence imaginable. It had O.J.'s blood and had the blood of both victims. The problem is the blood was poured on the sock by Officer Van Adder, and we proved it in 3 different ways. Number 1, the blood on the sock had EDTA, which is a chemical not found in the human body, found only in test tubes, that is used to make sure it doesn't coagulate. Number 2, the mirror image on the 4 sides of the sock prove that the blood had been poured on it when it was lying flat, not being worn by a human being. Dexter could have proved that easily if he had been around. And third, the claim that the socks were found on the white floor in front of O.J.'s bed was disproved by the contemporaneous videotape, which showed that the socks were in the hamper and not on the floor. That was a piece of evidence planted by cops who wanted to frame a guilty man. That is, they knew for sure in their mind that O.J. was guilty, but they thought he'd get away with it, so they manufactured a piece of evidence, and we caught him. We didn't win the case. They lost the case.
So he was guilty in your view?
I didn't say that.
No, I'm asking
the police,
you. Okay. You're right. What do you think?
Obviously. Well, I have a wonderful vignette in the book where Bibi Netanyahu, just elected Prime Minister of Israel, calls me into the secret room of the Prime Minister, and he says, Alan, there's a question I've always wanted to ask you, and I thought it was about Israel's, you know, policies. He said, did O.J. do it? And I said, Mr. Prime Minister, does Israel have nuclear weapons? And he said, you know I can't tell you that. And I said, aha. So he realized, of course, I can't discuss my own views. But I think the police believed him without a doubt to be guilty, and they planted evidence. And I tell that story and other stories. I'll tell you another marvelous O.J. story.
Yeah.
As Marshall Clark was walking past Johnny Cochran was about to make the closing argument. Marshall whispered to Johnny, saying, I want you to think of one thing when you're up there making the oral argument. And Johnny said, what? And Marcia said, I'm not wearing any underwear.
Oh.
And so I called her the next day. I mean, I didn't believe that story when Johnny Cochran told it to me. And I called her, and she confirmed it. And then I asked her, so is it true? So she said, what? Were you wearing? She said, that I'm never telling you, but it's true that I told him that. So, you know, I have wonderful, wonderful stories because I've been so lucky. I've spent time with Bill Clinton and with Barack Obama and with the Chief Justice of the United States and Woody Allen. I tell stories about Woody Allen, but I also tell a serious book about, you know, about the First Amendment and other amendments of the Constitution.
Well, I want to ask you a question, and you kind of stole it a little bit. I was going to say. Well, first of all, back to O.J. 1 second. Am I nuts, or was there a suitcase or something with that Kardashian had? And whatever happened to that? It never got into evidence, or did it?
You know, a lot of things didn't get into evidence. The knife never got into evidence. The knife that the police found in the bureau behind O.J.'s mirrors This case was tried so ineptly by the prosecution. I won't say it was like taking candy from a baby, but it was very one-sided.
Maybe she should have stopped worrying about the underwear and started concentrating on the case.
And we didn't have a dream team, as I explained in the book. It was a nightmare team. We didn't get along with each other. There was a lot of battling and a lot of quibbling, and F. Lee Bailey and Bob Shapiro at each other's throats the whole time. And it was a very, very disruptive time, but I don't want to be. I end the book with my obituary, and
I was going to ask you about that. Yes,
with a letter to the editor complaining about my obituary, because I don't want to be remembered for my celebrity clients. I want to be remembered for the hundreds of people who didn't have any money who I defended.
Right,
for
pro
free.
bono, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And but I also want to ask you, what's the Dersh character?
The Dersh character is the guy you see on television pointing his finger and being obnoxious and always getting the last word. And my son said, that's, not the real me. The real me is pushover Dershowitz, which my family takes advantage of and treats me like a doormat. I never fight back. I never argue with friends or family. I'm the easiest guy to get along with in my personal life and not so easy to get along with in court.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and for good reason, and with much success. All right, so talk about. I was going to ask you about the obituary and the letter to the editor. Explain that. How'd that come about?
Well, I always want to get the last word. Just because I'm dead doesn't mean I can't get the last word. I know I would be dissatisfied with my obituary. It would focus only on my celebrity clients and my defense of Israel. And, I've lived a much broader life than that, and I just want to make sure that my obituary gets it right. And this time, though, at the end of the letter, I promise, finally, this is going to be my last word.
All right, let me ask you this. We just went through this shutdown, and and now everything's been reopened, and we averted a catastrophe. But you talk about Barack Obama. I'm interested on your take. My take is we've just seen that we have a president. And you could turn it around, but this is how I view it. I think the Republicans should present it this way, but I don't think they have the brains to. We have a president who refused to negotiate, which is unprecedented because it's been done by other presidents for the debt ceiling, for keeping the government open, and has shown himself willing to take us over this fiscal cliff into the unknown, into disaster. Basically because he wouldn't take away the medical tax device for a year, or because he wouldn't put himself on the same plan that everybody else is on. No negotiation, my way or the highway. This is who Barack Obama is, and I think it's very dangerous.
Well, that's why you're such a good and powerful advocate for the Republican side. The Democrats, of course, would say it was Ted Cruz.
Yeah, but what would you say? What would you say? I'm interested in what you say.
I would say there's a lot of blame to go around, and I would say that it's unconstitutional for Congress to threaten to close down the government, that the framers of the Constitution, when they wrote Article 1, Section 8, giving Congress the power to raise funds and to pay our debts, had in mind making sure we always remain solvent. That was Hamilton's basic reason for allowing so much power in Congress over revenue. I don't think the framers contemplated either the president or Congress shutting down the government or using these kinds of negotiations. So I think both sides have to go back to the drawing board. In Israel, they recently passed legislation saying you can't shut down the government. If they don't approve a budget automatically, without any law, the following things go into effect: a 10% reduction in this, a 10% with that. It sets out what happens in the case of a deadlock.
Right.
And I think we have to start thinking about that, because I don't think either side should be able to bring us as close to going over the cliff as we came this time.
I got one more for you on this, though. What about, and we have an orthodontist down in Florida who we had on, because he has standing to do it, he's doing it. He hates Obamacare, but he wants the full law implemented as passed. We've heard so much from the president and the Democrats saying it's law, it's stated law, it's fixed law, it was passed, we had 2 elections on it, the Supreme Court upheld it, yet the president, and he hasn't only done this with Obamacare, he picks and chooses. Oh, you get a pass for a year, or you don't have to enforce that right now. Is the president allowed to take laws, whether it's defense of marriage or immigration reform, or not immigration reform, but who to deport, or whether it's the work provision and welfare reform, is he allowed to pick and choose what parts of a law he'll enforce?
Well, remember that this was really started by George W. Bush, who came up with the notion, or others before him, but he really did it frequently, of a partial veto or a conditional signing of the bill, saying I sign it based on the condition that this is the way it's interpreted. I don't think the framers intended that kind of presidential power. But look, I think every one of the framers would be rolling over in their graves if they saw how much power the President of the United States has. They wanted a weak president. They wanted a republic, not a democracy. They didn't even elect the president. He was appointed by electors. They wanted a strong Congress. They wanted a weak Supreme Court, and they wanted a weak presidency. And what they got is a strong Supreme Court, a strong presidency, and a weak Congress. So everything has been flipped. We live in a world where executive power has increased almost all over the world, and parliamentary systems are suffering, and they're moving toward more executive power. So we're seeing a world trend. In my book, I talk a lot about how the Constitution has changed. We've had really 4 constitutions. We've had the body of the Constitution, then we had the Bill of Rights, then we had the Civil War amendments, and then in the 1917 to 20 period, we saw a major revolution in rights when we had immigrants in this country, and we started to enforce the Bill of Rights, which we had never enforced before. So, in my book, I give a kind of biography of the last 50 years of how the Constitution has changed.
And in your book, well, final question, Alan, you mentioned your position on Roe v. Wade, which many would find surprising, but the death penalty. I mean, you are against the death penalty.
Well, I was the one who Justice Goldberg asked to write the memo abolishing the death penalty. So my first job as a lawyer was to get the death penalty abolished.
Not a bad job.
Not a bad job for a 21-year-old kid going in to see the justices of the Supreme Court and trying to sell them. So that was certainly my position. It's still my position that I'd like to see the death penalty abolished. And it's happening gradually. And one of the points I make in my book is the Supreme Court is less influential than it's been in the past. When you look at what the Supreme Court has said about obscenity, you can ban obscenity. Turn on your television. It's all over the place. The Supreme Court said you can ban prayer in the schools. Go down south, you'll see prayer in the schools. The Supreme Court, it's of limited influence. The Supreme Court said you can execute almost anybody. Hardly anybody's being executed in the United States today. We're almost coming close to a moratorium on the death penalty. I've never lost a death penalty case in all the years I've been litigating because I use science to win them. And science is becoming so much more important in the courts than ever before. And I kind of tell the secrets of my success in taking the stand. And, it's an interesting read. I hope people will read it. You can also get it on tape. You know who reads it on tape? My daughter.
Really?
She's an actor. And there she is. She called me and said, Dad, I have to read about your first erotic experience in your book. My God, I can't read that. I said, you're an actor, read it. And she did a great job.
Some great pictures in there as well. Listen, I always secretly wanted to be a lawyer. I think I would have made a fairly good lawyer.
You would have been a great lawyer.
And if I ever undertook that endeavor, I would have been privileged to have had you as a professor. I disagree with you on many things, but look, I value our friendship.
But the best thing that was said about my book, Larry David said, if he could exchange his life with anybody, it would be me, except for the death threats and the tchotchkes. So, and he gave that as a blurb. Right?
There you go. Hey, listen, Alan, really, I value our friendship. Thank you, and great luck with the book.
Thank you.
Take care. That's Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law, by Alan Dershowitz, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting about, I didn't want to press the O.J. thing anymore, but you know who I really think did it? If it wasn't O.J., I think the Sun did it. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but that's what I thought back then. I have no proof. I'm not accusing the Sun. But that's what I always felt. First of all, that missing all the bloody clothes, all the bloody evidence was in that Kardashian suitcase. I knew I wasn't nuts, and it just disappeared. Anyway, and look what happened to the Kardashians long after the untimely death of the attorney in question. Okay, we're coming back. You want to weigh in? 877-NEWSMAX, 877-639-7629. I could still read that invisible ink right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Wow, you look great. Thanks. I've lost some weight. What's your secret weapon? Actually, I do in fact have one. Really?
If you're looking for help in your weight loss efforts, remember this name, Metabio. It just may be the edge you've been looking for. Metabio is the nutritional weight loss breakthrough power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. Metabio supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. It helps maintain your optimal weight and wellness when used as part of a healthy lifestyle. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Metabio. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/offer for complete details. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Practical Guide to Healthy Weight Management. Learn how you can try Metabio for 30 days at themetabio.com/offer. That's the metabio.com/offer. Hurry, only while supplies last at themetabio.com/offer.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book.
Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Have you hit a brick wall with your weight loss? Does your weight management plan need an extra edge for success? If so, listen up. Metabio is the revolutionary weight loss breakthrough designed to help you reach your goal weight as part of your diet and exercise program. Metabio is the premium nutritional supplement power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. When used as part of a healthy lifestyle, each component is formulated to help you reach your goals and maintain your optimal weight and wellness. It supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. Now, learn how you can try a 30-day supply of Metabio. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/special. Act now and also receive instant access to our downloadable special report, a practical guide to healthy weight management. Try it now at themetabio.com/special. That's the metabio.com/special. While supplies last. themetabio.com/special.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, that was fun. It was, it was a very relaxed Alan Dershowitz, just talking about his life and little things we didn't know about him and how he wants to be remembered. And I recommend the book very highly, whether you agree with Alan or don't. He's He has quite a client list and quite a life experience. Anyway, 50 years on one job, I'll tell you. All right, let me let you hear something that happened yesterday. Last night, a House stenographer in the House of Representatives, right before the vote or right after the vote or right during the vote, she took to the microphone and she started rambling on about God and Freemasons and they actually had to yank her away from the microphone and take her away. And rumor has it that she's believed to be in a Washington, D.C. area hospital. Let's listen to that. We don't have the video of that, but listen to her. She just got up and started rambling. Here's cut 40.
He will not be mocked. He will not be mocked. Don't touch me. He will not be mocked. The greatest deception here is this is not one nation under God. It never was. Had it been, it would not have been. No. It would not have been. Constitution would not have been written by Freemasons. They go against God. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters. Praise be to God, Lord Jesus Christ.
All right, and it was about the time she said, praise be to God, Lord Jesus Christ, that she was yanked off. I mean, obviously, I've read blogs or that it's because of her religious beliefs. So, look, obviously there was something wrong there. She was interviewed afterwards, and she was taken to a hospital. Obviously, you know, I don't know anything about this woman, but someone in control of themselves doesn't get up there and start rambling in an inappropriate place about inappropriate topics at an inappropriate time. You know, whether you believe, and if you could figure out everything she said and you agree with her or you don't, based on your religious beliefs, either way, it was inappropriate, and hopefully she's going to be okay. How's this for a reward? A New Hampshire clerk, guy named Shannon Bear Cothran, he thwarted a would-be robber by pulling out his handgun. Works at a gas station. Guy pulls a knife, tries to rob the place. He pulls out his gun. And the gas station clerk was fired because company policy prohibits staff from carrying firearms. Now, as far as I know, he had this legally. So the idiotic gas station owner is sorry that the man had a gun to thwart away the robber, to protect himself and to protect the station's revenues and money. So they fired the guy based on principle. You can't win sometimes, folks. You just can't win. All right, we're coming back. We have a big hour ahead. Ed Klein, the great author, joins us when we come back on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obamacare, President Obama's massive healthcare law, is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already a New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare311.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special Special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Happy, Healthy Joints at Any Age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's LIMBEX joint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm Kathleen Walter. Federal workers are back at work as the U.S. government reopened today. This after Congress approved a deal to end the shutdown and avoid default. More than 300,000 federal workers were furloughed during the shutdown. Congress approved a bill authorizing back pay for the 16 days they were off the job. President Obama says the paralysis will not happen again.
There's been a lot of discussion lately of the politics of this shutdown. But let's be clear, there are no winners here. These last few weeks have inflicted completely unnecessary damage on our economy. We know that just the threat of default, of America not paying all the bills that we owe on time, increased our borrowing costs.
The 16-day shutdown cost the economy an estimated $24 billion. The agreement funds the government for 3 months and raises the debt ceiling for 4 months. Some House Republicans voiced disappointment with the deal. Representative Ted Poe, Republican from Texas, told us the Republicans' battle against Obamacare remains a worthwhile fight and that he's frustrated his party conceded.
The Tea Party has a viable responsibility, and they're not going away, whether the president wants them to, and all the name calling that they get from day to day from different organizations, that's not going to deter them. Tea Party, I believe, is really concerned about what's doing best for the country. They're still going to remain vocal. They're going to be very viable and a part of the Republican establishment.
Because the deal lasts until early 2014, White House economic advisors fear that continued anxiety about the shutdown and default could dampen consumer confidence during the holiday season and discourage job creation. The House vote to end the government shutdown was briefly interrupted last night after a stenographer began a bizarre outburst from the dais. The congressional staffer was dragged off the House floor by security after she started ranting about Freemasons and the Constitution. Capitol Police said she was transported to a local area hospital for evaluation. International talks over Iran's nuclear program ended positively. The White House says the Islamic Republic is showing a level of seriousness not before seen. That includes making concessions in return for easing economic sanctions that have crippled Iran's economy. Another meeting is set for next month in Geneva. Coming up, President Obama's leadership comes under question by Republicans who say the government shutdown was part of a broad strategy. Texas Republican Louis Gohmert explains what he thinks was the real reason for the shutdown. And it sounds like a dream diet. One man says that surviving on beer and sausage is helping him to lose weight. His unique recipe for getting slim, straight ahead.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
In 2013, Half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
What is LigNet? LigNet is knowledge. LigNet is power. LigNet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is LigNet? LigNet is confidential. LigNet is sensitive. LigNet is security. What is LigNet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
And welcome back. In a Newsmax exclusive, Representative Louis Gohmert, Republican from Texas, slammed President Obama for what he describes as a lack of leadership to end the recent government shutdown. Gohmert charged that the shutdown was part of a broad strategy for Democrats to win back the House in 2014.
Because he believed, as the conventional wisdom has been in Washington since January of 2011, that if there's ever a shutdown, Republicans will be blamed, the mainstream will blame them, and therefore we'll get back the House the following year.
And finally, an Arizona man is shedding pounds by doing what most guys dream of, by eating sausage and drinking beer. Ivo Otero decided to survive on the unusual diet 3 years ago. By eating sausage and drinking beer. Ivo Otero decided to survive on the unusual diet 3 years ago. October 17th. Take care.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And now that the government is reopened and this threat to our economy is removed, all of us need to stop focusing on the lobbyists and the bloggers and the talking heads on radio and the professional activists who profit from conflict, and focus on what the majority of Americans sent us here to do. And that's grow this economy, create good jobs, strengthen the middle class, educate our kids, lay the foundation for broad-based prosperity, and get our fiscal house in order for the long haul.
My gosh, you know, every time I hear him speak, I want to cry, because if we had a media in this country, he would be exposed for what he is. But there is a man out there, at least, who is doing his best, has done his best. He's written a great bestseller, which is now out in paperback. And it's The Amateur, Barack Obama in the White House. And the author in question is the great Ed Klein. Hey, Ed, how are you, sir?
Hey, Steve. Great to be with you.
Yes, great to talk to you. We had many sessions on WOR, but now we are in the new show, and it's a pleasure to have you on. I played that soundbite because that was from today. You know, he didn't do the name calling, but of course you wrote a piece at FoxNews.com the other day, and I mean you're just right on with how the presidency is no place for amateurs. But let's start first with the book. It was Bill Clinton, I believe, that you took the name of the book from. He had called, in addition to calling him a Chicago street thug politician, he also called Barack Obama an amateur, correct?
That's right. He was in Chappaqua with his wife, daughter, and some friends, and he was talking about how Obama did not know how to lead, and he said Obama is an amateur, and that's where I got the title for the book.
Yeah, and he was he was so right in the minds of so many. Talk about this latest escapade and what it shows you. I mean, you made such great points in the piece, and I just think the Republicans are blowing it, and folks are going to get tired of hearing me say this, but I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. What the Republicans should have said was, Ed, okay, yeah, we're waving the white flag, but we're waving the white flag because we have a president for the first time who will not negotiate, who is willing to send us into economic chaos over something as small as delaying a medical device tax. He's willing to let us fall off the cliff. So, yeah, it looks like we're surrendering, but we're doing it for the American people.
Absolutely, Steve. And, here's a president who at one point in his career was actually teaching constitutional law, if you recall.
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't seem to have the first idea what the Constitution says, which is quite simply that there are three separate and equal branches of government. In order for the president to get anything done, he needs to, I hate to use this word, Mr. Obama, negotiate with Congress. Anything done, he needs to, I hate to use this word, Mr. Obama, negotiate with Congress for this shutdown and for the debt ceiling crisis and all of the media coverage. But in fact, if the president had been willing to negotiate with the Republicans and on such things as, for instance, the medical device tax, on such things as the exemption for Congress people and their staffs for Obamacare, this would never have happened. But this president, unlike every single president we've had in the past, either refuses to negotiate or does everything by executive order.
Right, but Ed, here's what he would tell you. I'm negotiating. I'm just not going to give you anything. Mm-hmm. And when Chris Wallace has the Secretary of the Treasury on and says, every other president has negotiated on the debt ceiling, it's commonplace, and here's how it happened. He looks at Chris Wallace with a straight face and said, I don't think you have your history right. Yeah. So they'll tell you up is down is up, and if you don't believe it, there's something wrong with you.
That's right. Well, I was interviewed the other day by the New York Post, and they asked me about where this strategy...
You see, Obama's coming for you now. I hear the siren. Go ahead, only kidding.
He is, yeah. Well, where I live, there's sirens all the time here in New York. And they're all coming from the new mayor to come, Mr.
Oh, we could get into that and his statements on Muslims yesterday if you want, but I'm in New York, we're right with you here. But go ahead.
Anyway, on Obama, it is my reporting that the decision on Obama's part not to negotiate one iota was something that he devised alone in the residence, the second floor family quarters of the White House, along with his wife and Valerie Jarrett.
Right.
Now, people tell me, you're exaggerating how much influence and power Valerie Jarrett has. I don't think you can overestimate the amount of influence and power she has. The president has said, I don't make any decision without first passing it by Valerie Jarrett. That's almost a direct quote from the president. And in this case, the strategy to demonize the Republicans over the shutdown, just like demonizing Mitt Romney and before him McCain during election campaigns, was a strategy devised in the family quarters by these three people, the president, the first lady, and Valerie Jarrett, in order to make the Republicans take all the blame in the hope of flipping the House in 2014 to the Democrats.
And you hold Valerie Jarrett at least responsible for coming up with the idea, and of course Obama would have to go along with it, of using the incendiary language of kidnappers and bomb throwers and ransom takers and holding gun to the head, the whole thing.
Yeah, and terrorists, and calling Republicans terrorists whom you don't negotiate with, and then today coming out and saying, it's the people on talk radio who are using all this incendiary language.
Right. Well, again, the sky is green and the grass is blue.
I know.
And if you don't buy that, then there's something wrong with you. But look, again, as I said, right after the soundbite that we played, Ed, and by the way, we're talking to Ed Klein, who's got his great book, The Amateur, Barack Obama in the White House, out in paperback now.
With a new introduction, by the way.
Yes, I was going to point that out, and I'm glad you did. So everyone should get a hold of it. But, I said if we had an honest media, not only could this man not have won in 2008, but, there's no way the Republicans could be blamed for this, but I blame the Republicans for not defending themselves. However, you were victimized by this media. I mean, when your book came out, all kinds of accusations were hurled against you, and the media didn't welcome you on all their morning and news shows either.
That's right. I was demonized by the media. But, it's a very interesting thing about this word, the amateur, which Bill Clinton came up with and I use as the title of my book. I've noticed that in recent months, even some of my left-wing friends, like Joe Klein and others at Time Magazine and other places, have referred to him as an amateur, because you just look at how he handled the Syrian chemical weapons business with the red line that suddenly didn't become a red line, and other the so-called pivot to Asia that's never happened. You can go on and on. This president is a great campaigner, wonderful at hurling invective against his opponents, but when it comes to leading, he's out to lunch.
Let me ask you this, Ed. There's some controversy swirling around Larry Klayman and some others who held a press conference. I think they were at that the World War II Veterans Memorial last weekend. Sarah Palin was there and others. And Klayman said something to the effect of, put down the Quran, Mr. President, negotiate. And he caught a lot of flack for that. I'm not defending it in any way, but I want to ask you about, you look at the president's support of the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, I could get you Steve Emerson and others who could talk about by name those that they believe are infiltrators from the Muslim Brotherhood, the nonviolent wing of the Muslim Brotherhood, who are in our Homeland Security Department, who are in our FBI, who are in every department that you could name and imagine. And then you look at our policy. Yeah, I mean, we support in Libya. We're now in Syria. We're fighting alongside, against the law, by the way, of Al-Qaeda. In Egypt, we've now cut off most of the aid to the Egyptian military because Obama wants the Muslim Brotherhood back in there. Let me ask you. You know more about this guy than anybody probably. What is going on here?
It's very hard to say because it's clear to me that talking to President Obama's longtime minister, the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, that Obama was clearly steeped in Muslim orthodoxy as a child. There's no question about that. And that, according to the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, he introduced Obama to Christianity. So I would say that at the very least,
that was done. I'm sorry to interrupt. That was done. I think even Richard Wolff of MSNBC said he needed a church when he got to Chicago as a community activist for some street cred.
That's exactly right. And it's hard to say to what degree he has sympathy for the Muslims, except every action he's taken since he became president, including his speech in Cairo, until today, indicates that he feels an affinity for Muslims and finds it very hard to talk about Muslim extremism.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him having an affinity for Muslims, and I believe he's a Christian because he says he's a Christian. But my problem is, the Muslim Brotherhood to me are not your average Muslims, and the killing of Christians, Ed. I mean, the killing of Christians all over the world, and this administration is silent.
You don't hear a peep from Barack Obama.
Nothing. Nothing. I don't get that. I mean, if it were the other way around, not only with Barack Obama, the media.
I know it's a crime, no question about it.
And so what do we have to look forward to for the next 3 years? I mean, what's going to happen in the next 3 months when we run into this all over again?
The way I see the way politics operates in Washington, if you humiliate your opponent, rub his nose in the ground, and call him all kinds of names, as Obama has done with the Republicans, that's never really forgotten. And instead of creating an atmosphere in which there can be collegiality and compromise, he's created a worse atmosphere of hostility than he had even before the government shutdown.
Yeah, and you know what he did yesterday? Much to the chagrin of David Gergen on CNN and the crew that I was watching, who couldn't be bigger supporters of Obama, when they found out he was going to make a statement before the House actually voted. They said, why? Why would he do that? Why would he try? Why would he risk alienating even one voter? Why would and does anybody in the White House understand you don't do this? But he did it anyway.
Steve, it's hard to say this because it seems so outrageous, but I truly believe this. I think that the shutdown was something that he welcomed, that he encouraged, that he provoked, and that he kept going because he saw it as in his interest with the media playing it as an anti-Republican problem.
I agree with you, but do you also think, and this is a differentiation, and I'd love to hear your opinion, do you also think that he would have welcomed going over the cliff, so to speak, over nothing. Something as ridiculous as as an extension, the medical device tax would have taken this country down and the suffering of the people with it. Because don't forget, this House passed bills to keep kids with cancer getting treatment, to fund veterans benefits, to let D.C. run on their own money. And this president and Harry Reid said no. So for 21 days almost, or whatever it is, 16 days, 18 days, that none of those things were funded because of a stubborn president.
That's right. And I think he would have allowed the country to go over the cliff. And I think if he did, he would have gotten on television and pointed a finger and said it's all those extremists' fault.
Yep.
And and if you want to change the nature of this country and make it better, you better vote for Democrats in 2014.
Absolutely. Hey, Ed, listen, best of luck with the paperback version with the new introduction of the amateur Barack Obama in the White House. And we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
That's Ed Klein, ladies and gentlemen. Former, by the way, editor-in-chief of the New York Times Magazine section. Yeah, I pulled out from May 22nd of last year. Newsbusters. Okay, our friends at Newsbusters. Randy Hall wrote this. Ignoring Ed Klein's The Amateur, media once again show blatant double standard. He, according to Nexus search of TV shows and transcripts, not one of them, I guess he's talking about the elite media. Okay, not one of them has interviewed him on air. His name hasn't been mentioned by ABC, CBS, CNN, NBC, MSNBC. Gave him tiny mention in a segment condemning conservatives for opposing Obama, but didn't talk about him except in passing. The closest any network, this is a year ago when the hardcover came out, the closest any network came to actually discussing the book was ABC News, which included an item in the section of the network's website entitled The Note, which is produced by Michael Falcone anyway. It was just an offhanded quote. So much like they ignore the things they don't want to talk about, no matter how big or important or newsworthy or full of information and accusations these books are. Take Stephen Jimenez again, who we had on this show live, who wrote a book changing the whole scenario involving the death of Matthew Shepard. Again, you could say the same thing. Not one mention by ABC, NBC, MSNBC. None of them. Folks, we are, well, if you listen to the show, you know the problem we have with the media. You can't rely on the media. You have to educate yourself. And that must be why you are here at the Steve Malzberg Show, the center of self-education on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now, Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting.
Who is LigNet?
LigNet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former Chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former Chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also join our advisory board staff.
What is LigNet's mission?
Every day our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events.
What are the benefits of joining LigNet?
There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com/radio.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
Folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. We plan on talking to Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee about the deal reached at the bottom of the hour. And then our friend John Bachman, Newsmax TV anchorman, will join us to talk about various issues. That should be fun. Bette Midler. You know, the wind beneath my wings. She has taken to Twitter as a good liberal, and she has compared the Republican Party to the Taliban. Of course, because she's a political genius, a flame-throwing liberal who's allowed to make these kinds of, incendiary analogies, and she's applauded for it. I'll read it to you, and we'll put it up on the screen for those of you watching at Newsmax TV. She writes, "What a humiliating waste of time." I believe this is cut 26. "What a humiliating waste of time and energy this shutdown has been. The House GOP are as bad as the Taliban." Ooh, Bette Midler. Between her and Cher, I mean, they might as well write the script for Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and the rest of them. There it is. If you're watching, what a humiliating waste of time and energy this shutdown has been. The House GOP is as bad as the Taliban. What can I say? It goes on and on and on and on, and it's going to keep going on and on and on. And when this starts again, the president will talk about guns to the head and kidnappers and hostage takers, you name it. And the media is fine with it. But if a Republican sneezes and doesn't say, "Excuse me," should he keep his job or not? What can I say? It's the world in which we live, but we have to realize it. And I'm trying to do my best to make sure we all do. All right, 877 Newsmax, 877-639-7629 on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, this will interest anyone with diabetes or prediabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But if diabetes concerns you, there's a website that you need to see at 99reverse.com. At that website, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. Now, what they say is people who have followed this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com and find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, then I think the thing to do is to check out the website, and that is 99reverse.com.
Men, this is the time in your life when you have more freedom to travel, more time for leisure, including an active lifestyle, even a renewed intimacy. The last thing you want is the hassle of an aging prostate. Frequent trips to the bathroom also keep you awake at night. But here's good news. Renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein believes that prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Prostate Revive, the dietary supplement specifically formulated to help improve and sustain normal prostate function. Learn more about how you can receive a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit prostaterevive.com/special for complete details. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate, while supplies last. Try Prostate Revive for 30 days at prostaterevive.com/special. That's prostaterevive.com/special.
Do you have trouble remembering things you've known for years? Do you want to maintain your mental edge, support your memory, focus, and attention? After extensive research, Dr. Russell Blaylock discovered 4 essential nutrients that help sustain optimal brain function. Dr. Russell Blaylock then personally formulated Crescio, the dietary supplement containing these 4 brain boosters that promote brain cognitive health, improve learning and retention. Crescio supports brain circulation and provides antioxidant protection. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Crescio. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Crescio.com/special. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, Nature's Brain Boosters, Essential Nutrients for Peak Mental Performance. Give your brain the healthy support it needs. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Crescio.com/special. That's CRESCEO.com/special. Crescio.com/special.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show as we try to hook up with Congressman Marsha Blackburn from the great state of Tennessee. But I want you to hear. Let's say we should not lose sight here. And by the way, okay, that might be her calling in right now. We should not lose sight of the disaster that is Obamacare. And I got story after story. CBS's Jan Crawford again on CBS this morning talking about the rough start of Obamacare. And she says rough start is the understatement of the year. Joining us right now is our good friend, Congressman Marsha Blackburn from the great state of Tennessee. Hey, Congressman, how are you?
How are you? I'm doing well.
I'm good. It's always good to talk to you. Okay, first and foremost, this deal. I'm glad I got a leading Republican on after the fact to just, what do you think of this? What do you think if leadership had said this? and my listeners are going to start getting sick because I've been saying this over and over again. Instead of we fought our good fight and we lost, we did our best and we lost. How about this? Would this have made more sense? Hey, America, yes, we're giving in. Yes, we're waving a white flag, but we're waving a white flag to save America from going into uncharted waters, which could destroy our economy and the world economy, because we have a president who's willing to let that happen over a little thing like delaying a device tax or not giving subsidies to White House staffers or congressional staffers for those little minuscule issues. He's willing to take you over the brink, but we're going to save America from that. And yes, we're waving the white flag to save America. Why isn't that the message instead of we did our best, we didn't win? I don't get it.
Well, I feel like that what we have to realize is there are going to be lots of battles as we try to rein in spending. Because once you give out subsidies, once you give out grants and programs, and people are working for the federal government and the bureaucracy is enormous, once you have all of that in place, it is very difficult to get rid of it. Reagan told us the closest thing to eternal life on earth is a federal government program.
Yep.
And once they're put in place, it is very difficult to take them away.
No, I understand.
And think about it, Steve. Think about it like this. Look at when the shutdown occurred, all of a sudden it was, look at the damage you're going to do because 800,000 people are going to be furloughed. They were declared non-essential.
Yep.
So maybe now we have an indicator of how many extra employees there are in the federal government who are filling positions that have been deemed non-essential.
No, I look, you're preaching to the choir, and I understand all that, and I don't mean to pick on you. It's just that you're the one here, and not John Boehner, and it's just that we're going to go through this again, as you said. It's only the one battle, but we're unfortunately dealing with a PR campaign here. Your constituents, the constituents elected from the Republicans in the House, are going to be proud of what you did, but it's a PR battle, especially on a national level. You're as right. We approach 016, and you know what the media, I'm going to play in a second a little of the media taking you to task, and you defend yourself so brilliantly against them. But I don't understand why hey, for 16 days or whatever it was, kids with cancer couldn't get the treatment they needed because Harry Reid and Barack Obama said no. That should have been brought out every day. And veterans benefits and Washington, D.C. operating every day. Boehner should have been out there saying another day kids with cancer can't get what they want. But you guys, not you, but the Republicans don't fight the battle the right way.
I totally agree with you. And in this day and age, much of the battle is on communications and media. And I have said for months, we should have started in January. Every week, we should have repealed some program, some department. We should have put up on the tote board what it would save this year, what it would save next year. And then when we got down to a battle over the budget, over the continuing resolution, if we didn't have a budget, or over the debt ceiling, we would be able to point to a number and say, we wouldn't be in this situation if the Senate passed our bills because we would have saved X number $100 billion.
No, I couldn't.
We should have been able to define our goals.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Coming out of this, what do you think were the goals for the Republican Party?
Well, I mean, going into it, I know what the goals were. Coming out, I don't know what the goals were anymore because it kept changing.
Well, and that's why having a defined goal, limiting government, reducing what the federal government spends, getting an incremental win to move us towards that goal, every Republican member of the House ought to be able to articulate that.
I couldn't agree with you more. So where are we going from here? I mean, this battle. Look, the president is going to keep. Now their new thing is that you ruin the economy. You know, we have $1 trillion+ economy, multi-trillion dollar economy, and you, Congressman Blackburn, cost us $22 billion, which even if it were true is a drop in the bucket. But that's their new mantra. They're not going to let up. They're going to keep making you guys the villains from now until the next negotiations take place. And then Obama's not going to give an inch again. So what do you guys do?
What we're going to do is this. Number one, we've got to admit that we're underwater when it comes to this PR game, and we've got to set some definable goals. We've got to realize and admit that we have to make certain people understand, as the minority in Washington, even though we control the House, we control 1/2 of 1/3 of the federal government. And we can do a great job of block and tackle. We can do a great job of holding bureaucrats accountable. But there are some things that we will not be able to do until we take control of the Senate and take control of the White House. Then secondly, as we go to conference on the budget and as we look at the debt ceiling in February, we've got to lay out our goals. And I hope that we make a priority of entitlement reform and tax reform and lay those out, build support for it from people all across the country, Democrat, Republican, Independent, have them talking to their legislators. And I hope your listeners will follow me on all of this. We are, Twitter is @Marsha Blackburn, Facebook is Marsha Blackburn, and our website is blackburn.house.gov.
All right. Well, I'm sure they will. We'll post all of that. Let me ask you, Boehner, John Boehner. Even some of the staunchest Tea Party members have rallied around him in the aftermath. Is that your opinion as well?
Yes, it is. I think that he listened to the conference. He did a good job of standing with the members, of working with all sides, all points of view in our conference, and that he probably has come out of this stronger, not weaker.
All right, I want you to hear, before we leave you, Congressman, I want you to listen once again to what you already went through, but that would be your appearance with Thomas Roberts on MSNBC, cut 41.
When it comes to Obamacare, do you hate Obamacare more than you love your country?
I got to tell you something. I think that comments like that you are making are just incredibly inappropriate. What we have to realize.
You don't think it's incredibly inappropriate to shut down our government and to take all the hostages of Americans that you've taken? No, it's not inappropriate because you've taken the government hostage through a shutdown, and all the American people, you're now walking them to a cliff, the economy, and you're going to push them over one by one based on the fact that you don't like the ACA. That's all it is. You don't like the Affordable Care Act.
Listen to yourself. We didn't want a government shutdown. Just listen to the way you're sounding. My goodness.
Good for you. I mean, good for you. You know, you need to educate every member of Congress, all the leadership. You know that Wall Street Journal poll they talked about that blamed Republicans? Do you know there was no choice there to blame congressional Democrats? It was Obama, Republicans in Congress, both or neither. I mean, and Obama's approval rating was down to 37%. Independents disapproved of him in the AP poll by 60%. That's what you guys need to, not you, you did great, but that's what the leadership needs to put out in retaliation, or not retaliation, in retort to these, the polls. You got numbers within those polls that benefit you guys, and I never hear them from you guys. It's so frustrating.
It is frustrating. And, the thing is, exactly as you're talking about, we went through a government shutdown that they engineered.
Yep.
They had it planned.
Yep.
They were so excited to get this that when that started at 12:01 a.m., they went into high gear from coast to coast. Every part, federal roads leading to those parts, they had barricades. They had all sorts of blockades. They had professionally printed signs. Now, let me tell you something. If the National Park Service is so efficient. They can do that in 8 hours. They need to put them running Obamacare.
There you go.
Or, running FEMA.
Congressman, it's always great to talk to you. Pardon my frustration. It's just that, it's some of the things that seem so obvious and common sense. I've always felt for decades now that the Republicans need to get the message out a little better and fight back. But you were brilliant with
more aggressive, and I'm so glad we have good folks like you helping us with this battle. We sure couldn't do it on our own.
Well, you were great with Roberts there. Keep it up. Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Congressman Marshall Blackburn, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like when I'm talking to her or to one of the Republicans that I finally got, it's like, okay, now I'm going to be heard by someone who can actually put it into action. But it's tough. It's a tough code to crack, as they say. When we come back, I'm looking forward to this. Our friend John Bachman, Newsmax TV anchorman, will be here. He's on a very special mission around the country, which we'll talk about with him and more when the Steve Malzberg Show continues on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect, with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book.
Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain life insurance. Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right, our nationwide nonprofit half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right, our nationwide nonprofit now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Joining us now is a name you should be familiar with, John Bachman, Newsmax TV anchorman. Great to have you here in New York. You're usually down in sunny Florida. I always say sunny Florida. I know it rains there as much as anything, but
it's starting to get sunny. We're coming out of the wet season down there.
Yeah, isn't it always the wet season?
No, the wintertime's very nice. You should come down and join us.
I hate the cold weather up here. I hate it. I might do that one day. Anyway, you're in the middle of travels around the country. I know that that's a very exciting project for you and for Newsmax.
Yeah, we're working on a project about 25 American hero stories, not just 25 individuals. Who have done heroic things throughout the last year. And some of the people we're going to be profiling. Yesterday, I interviewed Taya Kyle, who is the widow of Chris Kyle, American sniper, Navy SEAL, who was tragically killed at a gun range in February, trying to help out a fellow veteran.
Yes.
Tragic story, but she was incredibly strong, shared with us some very emotional stories about Chris and everything that she's been through and their two kids have been through since his death.
I heard her speak at, I guess it was the funeral or the memorial service. She sounded very strong,
Yeah, she has an incredible story. He has a new book that has just come out, a new edition of his book, a memorial edition. So she's one of the people we're profiling. We're going to talk to Mark John and Mike Young, who are two of the horseback riders who helped find Hannah Anderson, that teenager who was
in the
kidnapped
mountains.
in San Diego.
Yeah.
So we're going to go out and talk to them, and we're going to go all over the country, and we'll bring that to Newsmax viewers and hopefully some of your listeners as well.
Absolutely. I'd love to talk to some of those people through you. That would be wonderful. All right, so you are a political junkie from as far back as you could remember, all the way in high school. You were a big Newt Gingrich person and idolized him because you were, he was in your district and came to your high school, and that's a good way. I mean, sometimes it's something like that says, wow, and then that's what you become, and that opens your eyes and doors, and you become a political junkie. So what do you make of where we are, what we just went through, where we are, how it ended?
Well, for Republicans, they have to look at it as a missed opportunity because, we're not talking about opinion here or anything. The goal was to modify Obamacare in some way, and they weren't able to do that. And at the same time, we've had all these issues with Obamacare, which has been on the second page of the news cycle, so we haven't focused on that as much. So if there is going to be a continued effort to try and alter Obamacare and make it better, or make the healthcare system better, really that's what everybody wants to do. You got to look at things like what Jeb Bush is saying right now.
I was going to ask you about that. He made some statements today, I believe.
Yes, he's talking about a comprehensive strategy that just doesn't encompass, the Affordable Care Act. We're talking about taxes and things like that. And the president now is kind of taking a victory lap, but he wants to still get
spiking the ball, as they say.
You can say that.
Whatever.
He wants to get some things done. Because when you look back on what his legacy is going to be, you have the Bin Laden raid. But what else do you have? I mean, you have the Affordable Care Act, but that's a question mark at this point, whether or not that's going to be a success. He's looking to immigration reform. And if Republicans can kind of open up a little bit to working on that, then they have a bargaining chip somewhat, and they can perhaps get something done with Obamacare, maybe trade some horses on immigration. You know, there has been some bipartisan support for immigration as well.
Yeah, I know, and you read about the fact and you hear about that there's backroom talks and backroom deals going on. Paul Ryan might be leading that charge, and we'll talk about Paul Ryan in a second and what you think his plans might be down the road and how he might emerge. But interesting. I heard about in my view, the bad news that there might be some deal on immigration reform, but as a trade-off. But I wonder how they might trade off, because I think one of the things Obama didn't want to deal with even the medical device tax was that's part of the funding. In other words, if you take one little thing out, the whole house of cards falls down, and I don't know how they would make up for that lost revenue, for instance.
Yeah, what has been lacking from the Republicans is a comprehensive alternative, a comprehensive plan. So when you protest the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and you don't have something to offer up as an alternative.
Bad public relations, like I was talking. Well, you know what they should do? Here's our alternative.
Exactly.
You like the donut hole closed? Here it is. You like keeping your kids on your plan till 26? Here it is. You like no pre-existing conditions? Here it is. Take the other 1,800 pages and throw them away. But they don't do that.
There are lots of plans out there. The Republican Study Committee has a very good plan. Tom Price has a great plan.
But do we know what they are?
We know what they are. We read about them. But why doesn't the party coalesce around one of these plans?
Absolutely.
And that really needs to happen. And if Ted Cruz had that to back him up, if there had been an alternative, perhaps maybe the American public would have come to support the Republicans in this fight, but it didn't happen because what are they going to support?
Right. Well, that's true. We're talking to John Bachman here on the Steve Malzberg Show. John, of course, Newsmax TV anchorman. Okay, so let's talk about, you mentioned Ted Cruz. Interesting that Wall Street Journal poll, the internals showed, they called Ted Cruz the most hated man in America. A lot of people don't know who the heck Ted Cruz is because he had a very high, I don't know. But in the total negative viewing of Obama, Reid, and Cruz, Obama 41 negative, Reid 32 negative, and Cruz only 28 negative. So, I mean, by that standard, it's Obama who is the most hated man. So you got to look in these internals, which the Republicans, it's there for them to look, but they don't. But is it Cruz? Is it Christie? Is it Paul? Is it Bush? Who's going to emerge down the road?
Well, I think Paul Ryan has a real opportunity here with this budget conference that he's doing with Patty Murray in the Senate and Chris Van Hollen also, and Jeff Sessions. Their budget conference, if they can really, what everybody I think wants, Republicans, Democrats, Americans, business leaders, is something more than a 3-month plan to base the future on.
Right.
So if Paul Ryan can really take the reins here as the budget chairman in the House and propose something and perhaps get it passed, I think there is a desire. The president would like to do something, I think, before his term ends, and that could really set the economy on the right path. And if Paul Ryan can do that, I think he's got a great shot. Another guy I'm looking to emerge here is Rand Paul. It's not like he's a secret. We hear a lot about Rand Paul.
Who happens to be the cover story of the current edition of Newsmax, the magazine.
Brilliant cross-promotion.
Thank you so
there.
much.
Well,
Yes.
Rand Paul, has been able to kind of hold the line like Ted Cruz has, but he's done it in I think a little bit more of a smarter way, where if you're into politics and you're tuning in, you see this Ted Cruz guy yes, he's principled, he's standing up for what he believes, but everybody has to negotiate. Rand Paul, on the other hand, he kind of took a step back, a little bit more measured in his approach, and I think he came out looking more presidential.
On this issue, I agree with you, although he filibustered himself not too long ago.
He did, but his filibuster was a success.
Yes, and, that's the difference, I guess.
And Ted Cruz's wasn't technically a filibuster, and everybody knew that it was, folks called it a spectacle and a hollow gesture. That's not for me to say, but I think you're looking for those two guys.
Right,
Chris Christie certainly, but
Ryan
can Chris Christie win the primary?
No,
we don't know.
No. And I got some stuff at the top of the next hour on Chris Christie. He was in the final debate. He actually weighed in on global warming, the Republican Party, and interesting what he would. He was asked what he would tell his kids if they said I'm gay. With regard to gay marriage. Very interesting answer. We'll hear it. Thank you, John. Fascinating.
Steve, my pleasure.
All right, and
my
we'll
pleasure.
look for your, when is that whole Heroes thing going to come to fruition, do you
We'll
think?
be looking forward to come out sometime in December. We're going to be working on the next 2 weeks. It'll coincide with an article in the magazine as well.
Great.
So, and hopefully everybody can pick that up and tune in.
John Bachman, ladies and gentlemen, Newsmax TV, anchorman. here in the flesh, in person, and good to see you, as I said. All right, folks, when we come back in the next hour, we're going to be joined by Jenny Beth Martin, president and co-founder of Tea Party Patriots, also a man who is running for Congress, a military hero serving in the New York State Legislature, going to run for Congress. All that straight ahead. Your phone calls 877-NEWSMAX on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, folks, this is going to interest anyone with diabetes or prediabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But if diabetes is a concern of yours, there's a website that you need to see, 99reverse.com. At that site, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that you probably have in your kitchen right now, and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. Now, what they say is people who have followed this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in just 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com. Find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, I think you should check out 99reverse.com.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm Kathleen Walter. Federal workers are back at work as the U.S. government reopened today. This after Congress approved a deal to end the shutdown and avoid default. More than 300,000 federal workers were furloughed during the shutdown. Congress approved a bill authorizing back pay for the 16 days they were off the job. President Obama says the paralysis will not happen again.
There's been a lot of discussion lately of the politics of this shutdown. But let's be clear, there are no winners here. These last few weeks have inflicted completely unnecessary damage on our economy. We know that just the threat of default, of America not paying all the bills that we owe on time, increased our borrowing costs.
The 16-day shutdown cost the economy an estimated $24 billion. The agreement funds the government for 3 months and raises the debt ceiling for 4 months. Some House Republicans voiced disappointment with the deal. Representative Ted Poe, Republican from Texas, told us the Republicans' battle against Obamacare remains a worthwhile fight and that he's frustrated his party conceded.
The Tea Party has a viable responsibility, and they're not going away whether the president wants them to, and all the name calling that they get from day to day from different organizations, that's not going to deter them. Tea Party, I believe, is really concerned about what's doing best for the country. They're still going to remain vocal. They're going to be very viable and a part of the Republican establishment.
Because the deal lasts until early 2014, White House economic advisors fear that continued anxiety about the shutdown and default could dampen consumer confidence during the holiday season and discourage job creation. The House vote to end the government shutdown was briefly interrupted last night after a stenographer began a bizarre outburst from the dais. The congressional staffer was dragged off the House floor by security after she started ranting about Freemasons and the Constitution. Capitol Police said she was transported to a local area hospital for evaluation. International talks over Iran's nuclear program ended positively. The White House says the Islamic Republic is showing a level of seriousness not before seen. That includes making concessions in return for easing economic sanctions that have crippled Iran's economy. Another meeting is set for next month in Geneva. Coming up, President Obama's leadership comes under question by Republicans who say the government shutdown was part of a broad strategy. Texas Republican Louis Gohmert explains what he thinks was the real reason for the shutdown. And it sounds like a dream diet. One man says that surviving on beer and sausage is helping him to lose weight. His unique recipe for getting slim, straight ahead.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
And welcome back. In a Newsmax exclusive, Representative Louis Gohmert, Republican from Texas, slammed President Obama for what he describes as a lack of leadership to end the recent government shutdown. Gohmert charged that the shutdown was part of a broad strategy for Democrats to win back the House in 2014.
Because he believed, as the conventional wisdom has been in Washington since January of 2011, that if there's ever a shutdown, Republicans will be blamed, the mainstream will blame them, and therefore we'll get back the House the following year.
And finally, an Arizona man is shedding pounds by doing what most guys dream of, by eating sausage and drinking beer. Ivo Otero decided to survive on the unusual diet 3 years ago. Last year, he says he lost 14 pounds. I'm Kathleen Walter, and this has been your Newsmax update for October 17th. Take care.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, hour number 3. In the previous hour, we were talking with John Bachman, and Rand Paul came up as a topic of conversation, and I happened to mention that the new edition of Newsmax the magazine arrived on my desk today, and on the cover is one Rand Paul, and there's a great story in here covering just about every aspect of
Rand Paul's life and his ambitions and his past and his dad and his influence on him and the whole thing and what his chances might be moving forward for greater national political aspirations, shall we say. So we're happy to say he's a frequent guest on this show, and great story about him here in Newsmax, the magazine, on sale on your newsstands now. Could also go to Newsmax.com and check that out as well. All right, you want to hear the craziest story? This is what your kids, that's why you got to ask your kids every day, what happened at school today, Johnny? Especially if they're in college, but this isn't college, okay? Last week, Principal Pat Jones, worried by the fact that some of his students didn't know that the federal government had been shut down, announced that his school, Alliance High School in Nebraska, would refrain from reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, as they do every morning, to remind the students of the problems in Washington. Can I ask you what sense that makes? What, is that not apples and oranges? Why don't you just teach the kids? I'm afraid to say that because I know what they would teach the kids, who they would blame. But why not just teach the children what the shutdown means, what the shutdown is all about? But sacrificing the daily Pledge of Allegiance to make that point? Why don't you sacrifice, 5 minutes of lunch? Or why don't you sacrifice, I don't know, anything else, except possibly the most patriotic moment of each day in the school day? The kids didn't do anything to be rude or unpatriotic. Let them express their patriotism, and then right after they all sit down in various classes, make it a school-wide policy that on this day to teach the kids what the shutdown's all about. What a great segue from the Pledge of Allegiance into teaching the kids. So no, they do away with the Pledge of Allegiance, as if to say, because the government is shut down and 800,000 non-essential employees, not my words, but the government's words, non-essential employees are temporarily out of work and will get back pay, we can't do the Pledge of Allegiance. You tell me how that makes any sense. And it doesn't. All right. Very interesting debate. Chris Christie and his Democratic opponent, Barbara Buono. I think they had their final debate, or maybe there's one more. Of course, he's running for re-election as governor of New Jersey. She's seeking to unseat him. He's got a 30-plus point lead in the polls. Christie, the Republican, of course. Many talk about him as the savior of the Republican Party, the big moderate. But, I've written columns and I've talked about ad nauseum. Governor Chris Christie is my governor. I went to bat for Governor Chris Christie before he was governor. Steve Lonigan, who just lost the Senate race, was in the Republican primary along with a third, battling Chris Christie for the nomination 4 years ago. And I supported Chris Christie. And I regret it because to me, he's not a conservative. To me, he blasts his own party over and over again. And his views on many issues are not my views on those same issues. Let's talk about climate change. He was asked about it at the debate. Is climate change man-made? And is it real? And even though temperatures haven't gone up since 1998, here's what Chris Christie had to say, cut 22.
But the fact is that there is lots of divergent opinion on this issue. But I said my position in 2011. I think climate change is real, and I think human activity plays a role.
And he sticks by that position. And when told by the moderator or the questioner, that's going to make a lot of Republicans unhappy, Governor, your views on this issue. And here's what Chris Christie said, cut 23.
It is not my job to respond to every difference on every issue that I have with members of my party or members of the opposite party. And so what my job is to be the governor of New Jersey, Ron. And so I do that job, and to the extent that these issues affect our state, we move forward. We're the second highest solar state in the country because of investments that this administration has continued and enhanced. We're continuing to look for ways to lower our carbon footprint. 3 new power stations that are natural gas fired. Also another thing we'll do it. We've met our goals for 2020 in carbon emissions already. We're proud of our record.
Yeah, all right. Probably at the expense of businesses and business expansion and regulations, and New Jersey's already struggling to keep businesses to the unemployment rate is higher than it is nationally. And, this fictional global warming crusade is not the way to fix it. It's not going to fly with conservative voters in the primaries, which is why one of the reasons I will still say there's no way Chris Christie ever wins the Republican primaries. He can't. He just can't, especially up against people like Cruz and Paul, unless everybody else splits the vote. Unless everybody else splits the vote. There's so many people from the Tea Party wing that they split the vote, and here comes Chris Christie. Maybe that's the only way. I don't know. Then he was asked about marriage. Now, he has said, well, let's listen to what he said here. This is cut 24.
I believe that marriage should be between one man and one woman. And that's been my position when I ran in 2009 and continues to be. And I believe that if we're going to change the fundamental nature of a 2,000-year-old institution, that should be done by one entity and one entity only. And that's the voters of the state of New Jersey. Not the Supreme Court, not 121 politicians in Trenton. It should be done by the people by referendum. And if the people of New Jersey were given an opportunity to vote and did vote in favor of same-sex marriage in New Jersey to amend our Constitution to permit that, then I would uphold that portion of the Constitution and support those laws with the same vigor that I uphold the Constitution and support the laws as governor now.
All right, here's my question. My question is, Chris Christie knows that if the voters of New Jersey go to the polls, they're going to vote in gay marriage. He also knows that the Supreme Court is going to allow gay marriage. He knows that. He's got to know that. He knows the state in which he's running. So why doesn't Chris Christie say what I'm sure Chris Christie would say about Obamacare during this shutdown? Because he blamed Republicans and Democrats. He always does. He did it during the convention speech. He did it when he spoke in January of 2012 at the Reagan Library. He blames the inability to get things done, as he puts it, on both the houses, both parties. And as a Republican, speaking at the Reagan Library or speaking at the Republican National Convention, that's not the way you do it. You blame the Democrats. You point out what their problems are. You don't speak ill of your own. And by the way, all he did at the convention was praise himself and how he works well with people. But my question is, Governor Christie was elected governor running, and the people knew he was against gay marriage. Governor Christie has a 30-point lead running, and the people know he's against gay marriage. So if you feel that strongly about it, why? Why do you say, oh, let the people vote? Why don't you say what Obama says, what Pelosi says, what the rest of them say? The people voted in 2 elections on Obamacare. He ran on that. He didn't run on that. That was an issue. Just like gay marriage is an issue with Christie. We know how he feels. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Why shouldn't that be, then, the finished product? Why does Christie say let the people vote? Because secretly, deep down, he knows it'll be better for him if he governs a state where they accept gay marriage. That's my opinion. But you see my analogy? If it's good for Obamacare and Obama and it's stated law, and I ran 2 times on it, and people knew, and they reelected me, and elected me and reelected me, well, he's going to be reelected by 30 points. Shouldn't that settle the issue? No. You see the double standard? Just saying. And here's the interesting question. What if one of your kids came to you and said, I'm gay? Very interesting answer. Cut 25.
If my children came to me and said that they were gay, I would grab them and hug them and tell them I love them, just like I would do with any of my children who came to me with news that they wanted to give to me that they thought were important enough to open themselves up in that way. But what I would also tell them is that Dad believes that marriage is between one man and one woman. And that's my position. And my children understand that there are going to be differences of opinion in our house and in houses all across this state and across this country. And if, in fact, at the end of the day, the people of New Jersey were given the opportunity to vote and voted differently, I would support that law. But until that time, I support the 2,000-year-old definition of marriage, and that's exactly what I would explain to Andrew or Sarah, who are sitting here in the front row tonight. And I know what they would understand is that their father loves them, and that's the most important thing.
I think that's a very touching and honest. In this case, I'll praise him. Not because of what I like his answer, which I do, but because I think that is really heartfelt. Okay, I think that is really heartfelt because it's a difficult question and a difficult circumstance for a father to imagine himself in, and he addressed it
I believe honestly. We're coming back, and we're going to talk to, somebody who cannot be all too happy with where we are right now, and that's Jenny Beth Martin, president, co-founder of Tea Party Patriots, on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, this will interest anyone with diabetes or prediabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But if diabetes concerns you, there's a website that you need to see at 99reverse.com. At that website, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. Now, what they say is people who have followed this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com and find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, then I think the thing to do is to check out the website, and that is 99reverse.com.
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Happy, Healthy Joints at Any Age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's LIMBEX joint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream, streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Something very interesting I wanted you to hear. Actually, we have two sound bites in this story. One is 28 and then 29. Robert Redford. Robert Redford, with all due respect, I didn't know that there was this much plastic surgery still around. But Robert Redford was on CNN, and of course they gave him the platform to bash Republicans and even accuse them of racism. Of course, because when Bill Clinton was president, Republicans never did anything to him. They loved him. They never impeached him. It's only Barack Obama that they don't like, and it's because he's black. Remember that. So I want you to listen to this is on New Day, and it's a question to Robert Redford, and here's his answer, cut 28.
In part one of our conversation, Robert Redford told me that he believes the ongoing battle in Washington is partially precipitated by race.
Well, I think whatever idea I would have had to make things work just wouldn't have been accepted by this minority faction. I think that no matter what you would propose, they would go against it because their determination was to destroy this person. They wanted, if it meant destroying the government, anything to keep him from succeeding.
Anything to keep him from now. We didn't actually hear him say that it was based on race or partially based on race. We have to take the anchor's word for it. And she happened to be African American, and she said that Redford told me it was at least partially based on race. But in that answer, we did not hear him say anything about race. So, but I'll take her word for it, okay? Because it wouldn't surprise me in the least. They wanted, if it meant destroying the government, anything to keep him, Obama, from succeeding. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Now, you may recall, because we played it on this show several months ago, back in April, early April, there was a movie about the 60s radicals, Bill Ayers group, the Weather Underground. And George Stephanopoulos interviewed Robert Redford. And listen to this. This is very telling. This is Robert Redford saying that he was a fan of the Weather Underground, violence and all. They bombed the Pentagon. They bombed other places. And Robert Redford knew this. Listen to this, cut 29.
When I was younger, I was very much aware of the movement. I was more than sympathetic. I was probably empathetic because I believed it was time for a change. Whether that change was a revolution or not, I don't know, but I was very much for what was going on.
Even when you read about bombings?
All of it. I knew that it was extreme, and I guess movements have to be extreme to some degree.
All of it. Even the violence, all of it. I knew they were extreme, but I guess movements have to be extreme. So by that definition, now folks, follow me here. Follow me here. He's defending Al-Qaeda and every other violent, murderous, terrorist group you could name. Okay? When you say that you were a fan of theirs, and you were asked, even when you read about the bombings, and Redford says all of it, I knew that it was extreme, and I guess movements have to be extreme to some degree. That's Robert Redford, Hollywood hero. Now sitting in judgment of the Republicans, calling them racists, according to CNN. A man who condoned, who was okay with, who went along with the violence of the Weather Underground. Because, in his words, I knew that it was extreme, and I guess movements have to be extreme to some degree. So he's now giving cover. He's now giving cover to any movement who comes along or who exists and blows up somebody or something in the name of their movement. Robert Redford should be expected, unless he picks and chooses who's allowed to blow things up based on whether or not he agrees with them politically, which you can't do. If you condone violence for one group and their cause, then you condone violence for all groups and their causes. So Robert Redford has now, if he were the arbiter of all this, has opened the door and has stated that I knew it was extreme, but I guess movements have to be extreme to some degree. And he was talking about the violence because he was asked specifically about the bombings Even when you read about bombings, Stephanopoulos asked? All of it. All of it. So in Robert Redford's sick, twisted, demented world, and maybe he represents the world of most of the Hollywood left, I don't know. This is okay. This is okay. If you're a radical leftist group, bomb some places. Go bomb the Capitol. Go bomb the Pentagon. If people die, hey, I guess movements have to be extreme to some degree. It was okay with Robert Redford then, in the 60s, and it's okay with Robert Redford now, looking back. So then how does he come out and say to Al-Qaeda, you can't do that? Or the Palestinian or Islamic Jihad, you can't do that? Or Al-Shabaab at the mall in Kenya, you can't do that? Where would he come off? Where would he get the moral authority to do that? He lost it. He has no moral authority. He's one of them. On the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54. With a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Millions who read Newsmax magazine every month.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll free at 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Yes, indeed. And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. We have talked to this man on several occasions for various reasons, the Hassan trial and other issues. I first came to know him when he ran for Congress several years ago in New York. Didn't make it there, but has been a state senator from the state of New York, and now has decided to once again throw his hat into the ring for the Republican nomination to face off against Congressman Timothy Bishop in the 1st Congressional District in New York State. So joining us is Lee Zeldin, who also happens to be not only is he in his second term, but a major in the U.S. Army Reserves and an Iraq War veteran. Hello, sir.
Thanks for having me back on. How you doing?
Good, good. So tell us about this decision of yours. I know there's a lot of people in the state Senate that are a little worried that the balance might get thrown, but talk about your decision to run for the Congress again.
Well, I announced for Congress a week ago Monday with a 2.5-minute video announcement on our website at zeldinforcongress.com, and we really got off to a great start coming out of the gate. It's interesting. A few people have asked me, "What are you thinking? Who wants to go down to Washington these days?" And I watch what's going on down there, and that actually motivates me even more because it highlights just how much of a need there is to have representatives down there, whether you are liberal, moderate, or conservative. I believe that we need to have more reasonable, rational people, and it's unfortunate the dysfunction and the fiscal insanity that's going on down there.
All right, so what's your take on what just occurred?
Well, it probably isn't much different than just about everyone else in America. I mean, it highlights just how dysfunctional Congress is. It's the fact that we haven't had a federal budget since 2007 just totally blows my mind. Individuals, families, small businesses, local governments, we all live on a budget. We look at revenues and expenses. We care that they are balanced. And if there was any entity in this entire country that should be passing a budget, it should be the federal government. And as our national debt approaches $17 trillion, there's a really good question out there that maybe someone in Congress or all of them in Congress need to answer is, when's enough enough? If we're okay with expanding the debt limit at $17 trillion, then what are we not okay with? $20 trillion? $25 trillion? Let's pick a number. Set a date in the future and decide what kind of real reforms are we going to make between now and that date, so that we don't keep passing the buck for maybe for after the next election, for future generations to be able to inherit. The place is a mess.
Yeah, no, the place is a mess, all right. Of course, you come into a race at a time when there is. I don't subscribe to the theory that it was 20 Tea Partiers that ran this whole thing. They could not have done that. But you come into the party or to the race for Congress at a time when certainly there are divisions, not only in the Senate, which are obvious between Republicans, but also in the House, which is pretty obvious as well. I think it's a healthy thing, but. Where would you say that a Congressman Zeldin would align more with the Peter Kings or more with the Tim Yule's camps and the so-called Tea Partiers?
Well, first off, I'm proud to be a conservative Republican, and when people try to attach labels beyond that, and I come out of the gate, and of course the Democrats. As they call every single Republican running for office anywhere in the country, you are automatically a right-wing Tea Party extremist.
Absolutely.
It's really it's unfortunate. That might be the nicest way of putting things. And the liberal media has really loved playing up this this GOP civil war and this division and letting the Democrats off the hook. I mean, I was watching as Republicans kept negotiating against themselves and wanting to have a dialogue to talk about a host of possible solutions. In my opinion, there was probably thousands of different solutions that the Republicans were willing to accept. The only one that was not acceptable, and I don't blame the Republicans for having a problem with this, the only compromise that wasn't acceptable was Barack Obama and Harry Reid saying, if we want it 100% our way.
Right.
And elections have consequences. If Barack Obama wants it 100% his way in Congress, he should have won more races last November. And the same thing goes for the Republicans. If the Republicans want to have it 100% our way, we need to elect more Republicans in whether it was November 2012 or next year when we have a chance to send a message again.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We're talking to New York State Senator Lee Zeldin from Eastern Long Island, and he's running for Congress now against Timothy Bishop. What do you believe has changed this time around from when you ran against him last time several years ago? It might have been, what was it, 08 or 010? And not only in your race against him, what has changed in that matchup, but how has the landscape changed, do you believe?
So the race was in 2008.
Yeah.
And when I first ran, I was getting into an environment where I had no name ID, no donors, no name recognition. We were starting from scratch.
No political experience.
Yeah, not really. I was coming right off active duty in the Army, and we went really just jumped in into the deep end with. There was, as you remember, there was some Bush fatigue, there was Iraq War fatigue, the economy was crashing at the end of September, and Barack Obama, with hope and change, was captivating the masses with these great promises of parting the seas, of the Chesapeake and fixing us for all eternity. And people were drinking the Kool-Aid. Where I was running, it was amazing. I believe that it's important as a voter to be informed on your candidates and the issues, their principles, where they stand, what their vision is, and it's crazy when we elect people to office and there's absolutely no vetting of substance. What are you going to do to fix our country, to cut taxes, cut wasteful spending, create jobs? There needs to be more of a debate, and the Democrats don't want to have that debate. All they want to say is, my opponent is a right-wing Tea Party extremist.
Absolutely.
Anything else.
Cory Booker just used that for the whole campaign against Steve Lonegan. No matter what the question, do you live in New Jersey, Mr. Mayor? Because there was accusations he didn't. Well, my Tea Party candidate opponent is bringing this up to change the subject from his Tea Party views. And that's what you're going to face. And you're right about the media. You know that. And as long as you're prepared to face it and fight it, then you have a good chance.
We have to, as a nation, we have to figure out how to get better and more effective with our messaging, so that there is more substance in these campaigns. It used to be where it seemed like the last few days of the campaign was ridiculous. Of political campaigns around the country would be ridiculous, and then it became like the last few weeks or the last month, and now it looks like from the 2012 elections to the 2014 elections, the Democrats want to make the entire process ridiculous, and it's unfortunate. And I would just add that while I'm critical of the Democrats, I think the Republicans have to get a lot better with their messaging. Every year I have a Black History Month celebration in my district. I have a very big minority population in my Senate district, one of the largest in the state. So every year I host a Black History Month event. And after I was done, I come off the stage, and an individual comes up to me, and I could tell by the way he was talking to me that he was a liberal Democrat, and he knew I was a conservative Republican. And he says to me, "You are the first liberal conservative I've ever met before." and it blew my mind, because I don't think you can be a liberal conservative. But the reason why he used the word liberal was because when I was doing my presentation, he thought that I cared and was compassionate. And the fact this is really on the Republican Party and the branding of Republicans, that I come off stage, I get called a liberal just because he can tell that I actually, give a hoot about the issues that matter to him.
Right. No, that's the party branding is not because they're strong on social issues and various issues, just the branding, the PR, the media, the way they handle the media, the way they combat the media, the way they handle their candidates, their opponents. It's all got to change, and I'm confident that you'll take a giant step in that direction. It's Zeldin for Congress, Zeldin for Congress.com. Lee Zeldin, who was looking to take on Timothy Bishop in 2014. Get ready for the onslaught. I already heard a commercial. The only Republican member of New York City congressional delegation, Grimm, who used to be my congressman when I lived in Bay Ridge. Anyway, long story short, no. What am I saying? He's a congressman from where I used to live, but I was gone before he got there. Long story short, I consider him a little, he's certainly not a Tea Partier. And yesterday, even before the deal was signed and the votes were taken yesterday, they're running commercials on New York radio against him, saying that he wants to take away your Obamacare and your health care while he has a gold-plated plan. Yet, of course, it's the Republicans who wanted the Congress to fit under the same plan as everybody else, the Democrats who were against it, and they turned it around in the commercial. So be prepared for anything.
Well, that's what happens when they realize that the truth would hurt a lot worse. So
and by the way, it was the DCCC, who I think I added one too many C's, who ran that. And Steve Israel, who you're familiar with out there, is the head of that. And they'll stop at nothing. So be careful.
Well, that's good advice.
Okay. All right, Lee. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Lee Zeldin, ladies and gentlemen, Iraq War veteran and U.S. Army reservist. And, boy, we could use more of him in Congress, and a current two-term state senator in New York State. Okay, you want to weigh in on it? Boy, have we addressed everything today. You want to weigh in on any of it? The Republican strategy? You want to weigh in on who do we have at the beginning? Who won here? Ed Klein talking about Obama. You want to talk about Marsha Blackburn? Anything we've talked about or anything else? Chris Christie, his answer to the questions at the debate that I played for you at the top of the hour. 877-NEWSMAX, 877-639-7629 on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family.
Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already an Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today. Go to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Larry works on the construction site when he's not held up with constipation. Mary sits all day at a desk, which does little to relieve gas and bloating. You can't schedule abdominal discomfort, but you can help alleviate it with Back2Pro. Developed by holistic medical doctor David Brownstein, Back2Pro is the fiber probiotic supplement that comes in the form of an easy-to-eat, tasty wafer. It includes the most essential ingredients necessary to help support your healthy digestive and immune function. Experience the results. Learn how you can receive a 30-day supply of Bactipro. Just visit Bactipro.com/offer. All you cover is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Probiotics and Your Health. Do something about your digestive health now. Get your 30-day supply at Bactipro.com/offer. That's BACTIPRO.com/offer. Limited time only. Bactipro.com/offer.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
A hot new book by Craig Smith argues that the greenback is now at high risk thanks to our spendthrift politicians. Mark Twain said, "The truth is stranger than fiction." The same is true of the Great Debasement, which began a century ago with the creation of the Federal Reserve and income tax. The result, today's dollar retains just 2 cents of its original buying power. Yes, progressive politicians have engineered the largest wealth confiscation in history, creating in essence a fourth branch of government. Learn what must be done to preserve your money if the dollar crashes. The good news is Swiss America is offering the Great Debasement, a $20 value free of charge for this special radio offer.
800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. 800-818-3967. Call Swiss America now for a free DVD. 800-818-3967.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I am the first to acknowledge that the website that was supposed to do this all in a seamless way has had way more glitches than I think are acceptable. And we've got people working around the clock to do that, but we got to make sure that the cash register works and the lines aren't too long when people are checking in and checking out.
I don't even know what is he talking about. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. The computer glitches are they're unacceptable. But we got to make sure the cash register works, and the line. I guess it's just way above my pay grade, way over my head. Folks, they're not glitches. It doesn't work. It's just almost impossible to sign up, to get on there. I haven't tried. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to go into Obamacare. But report after report. And now Our great producer, Rich, sends me this. Having trouble logging into healthcare.gov? You're not alone. The Obamacare website, which launched October 1st, deleted some users' passwords, according to multiple call center representatives for the site. 5 call center agents told CNN yesterday that because of an upgrade to the beleaguered website, many passwords were deleted if they were created in the first week or so after the launch. If the representatives have it right, some users will continue having trouble logging in no matter how many times they try. They did maintenance on the website recently and deleted all the passwords, so they need resetting, one agent wrote in a live online chat with a CNN reporter who's been attempting to log onto the site. The deleted password, quote, they deleted passwords on accident, said another agent. On accident? You mean by accident? Oh, the caliber of the people running Obamacare's website. They deleted it on accident. What is that? Anyway, and this agent was answering the phone at the healthcare.gov call center. They lost the passwords. A senior administration official said these call agents are wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. She said no passwords have been deleted, and the call agents were reading from a script that was given to them by mistake. So they were given a script stating that the passwords were deleted by mistake or on accident. And it turns out that that whole script was given to them on accident. Folks, these are the people who are going to decide what health care you could get, how much you got to pay, when you could see a doctor, when you could get an operation. Aren't you? Thanks, Dr. Obama. She adds that the administration has been trying to get them to stop using that script for the past week. Wait. It gets better and better. I haven't read all this yet. I'm reading as I go along. So let me get this straight. There's no truth to the reports given to CNN by these healthcare.gov operators and agents that passwords were deleted on accident as opposed to by accident, as opposed to on purpose, okay? No truth to those rumors. The reason these agents are saying this is because they were given a script that told them to say this, and that script that they were given on accident. They shouldn't have had these scripts. And now for a week, the administration says, we've been trying to get these agents to stop reading the script that they were given on accident, stating that passwords were erased on accident. This isn't the blind leading the blind. I don't want to insult the blind. These are morons leading morons. Is that like, can I say that? Or am I a moron phobe? Is there some name to call me because I said moron? I'm not finished. However, a call center agent said he'd received an email as recently as Monday about the deleted passwords. Oh, my goodness. The senior administration official said, while no passwords were deleted, some users, especially those who signed up early on, have been having trouble logging on, and the administration is working on a fix for those users. Oh my gosh! What can I say? What can I say? Okay, I want you to hear CBS News' Jan Crawford from this morning, cut 27.
The rough start to Obamacare. It has been more than 2 weeks since healthcare.gov went live. Uninsured Americans are still trying to sign up for coverage, but complaints are growing louder every day.
Rough start. That could be the understatement of the year. It has been a complete disaster. We don't know how many people have enrolled. We can't even find anyone who's enrolled. The Miami Herald is now calling them urban legends.
They found a glitch, so they fixed it.
Except the problem with the website, it hasn't been fixed. Even supporters, like the president's former press secretary Robert Gibbs, say someone should be fired. At this point, the failures are well documented, but the success stories are not. The administration is refusing to release numbers on how many people have been able to enroll, although Press Secretary Jay Carney, for the first time yesterday, managed to identify a few.
Oh, my goodness. I got a story from the Washington Examiner behind the curtain, more waving red flags for Obamacare. So few applicants have gotten far enough along in Obamacare's enrollment process at healthcare.gov that insurers are only beginning to be able to assess the true depth of the site's technological problems. But there are red flags beyond the error messages that have been publicly visible, he said. This was my takeaway from a Wednesday conversation with an insurance industry source. Philip Klein wrote this. And it goes on and on and on, and it's a disaster. I got story after story. Story after story here. Hey, but don't you worry, because I want you to be reassured, okay? I want you to be reassured. Barack Obama, Dr. Obama, is on the case. And if some of these things aren't working, he's having people work around the clock to fix them. And if some things get done on accident, I can't take it. I really can't take it. So you know what? So I'm going to go home for the night. And we'll reconvene 3 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, God willing. Hope you'll all join us. It's been an interesting show, and I'm sure tomorrow will be just as interesting right here on Accident on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.